All right, ready to dive deep into a fascinating phenomenon.
Yeah, let's do it.
Today, it's all about the bystander effect.
Oh, interesting.
I think you'll find it pretty intriguing.
I've definitely heard of it, but I'm excited to hear what you've dug up.
We've got a whole stack of research articles, news stories,
Wow, that's quite the reading list.
even some, get this, stuff on rats.
Rats. What do they have to do with it?
You'll see, it's fascinating. But first, maybe let's just,
Start with the basics.
yeah, lay the groundwork.
What exactly is this bystander effect?
So in the simplest terms,
Yeah.
the more people witnessing an emergency, the less likely anyone is to help.
Right. It's like you'd think.
Who would think?
Strength in numbers, more people around, more likely someone will do something.
Exactly.
But research suggests that's not quite how it works.
Not at all. So why? Why does this happen?
Well, psychologists have identified a few key factors.
Okay.
They all kind of work together.
Uh-huh.
First, there's this thing called diffusion of responsibility.
Diffusion of responsibility.
We feel less personally responsible when others are around, right?
Yeah, like, oh, someone else will take care of it. It's not all on me.
Precisely. We kind of assume someone else will step up.
Makes sense, but is that the only reason?
Well, there's also evaluation apprehension. Ever heard of that?
Rings a bell, but remind me.
It's basically the fear of being judged, looking foolish if you intervene.
Oh, yeah, like what if I misread the situation?
Exactly. Better to just blend in, right?
Avoid that potential embarrassment.
And then there's pluralistic ignorance.
Now, that one I definitely don't remember.
Basically, we look to others for cues, how to react.
So if no one else seems concerned,
Right, then we kind of assume maybe it's not actually an emergency.
wow, so it's like a collective freeze almost.
Yeah, kinda, fueled by uncertainty, that social pressure.
This is making me think back to all those times I've been in a crowd and maybe you didn't act when I should have.
Well, it's a normal human tendency. It doesn't make you a bad person.
No, for sure.
It just highlights how powerful our social environment can be.
Definitely. Speaking of which, how did researchers even, start looking into this?
You're probably thinking of Kitty Genovese.
Yeah, the 1964 murder in New York?
Tragic case, the initial reports, they claimed that
Lots of neighbors witnessed the attack.
and didn't intervene.
Yeah, I remember reading about that. It's just horrific.
It was, and while the details, they've been challenged over time, the case, it really captured the public imagination.
For sure.
Prompted researchers to investigate why people might not act in those situations.
So it was that case that really kickstarted the scientific study of this whole bystander behavior thing.
Exactly. Psychologists Bibb Latané and John Darley, they were pioneers in the field.
Oh, I've heard those names.
They conducted some groundbreaking experiments in the 60s.
Like what kind of experiments?
Well, they staged emergencies in a lab setting.
Oh, that's clever.
One famous study involved smoke. Fake smoke?
Fake smoke coming from...
Yeah, like under a door.
Okay, go on. I got to hear this.
So participants are filling out questionnaires alone or in groups.
Uh-huh.
As they work, smoke starts filling the room.
Okay.
Alone, much more likely to report the smoke.
Thinking it's a fire makes sense.
Right, but here's the thing. In a group, far fewer people took action.
Oh, wow. Really? So being around others actually made them less likely to react.
Exactly. And the more people in the group...
The less likely anyone was to do anything.
Precisely.
So
Yeah.
how do they explain that?
Well, those factors we talked about,
Okay.
diffusion of responsibility, evaluation apprehension, pluralistic ignorance,
Right.
they all play a role. People look to each other for cues, assume someone else is on it.
And no one wants to stand out.
Exactly.
It's amazing how our brains work,
Yeah, it's like a perfect storm of social pressure and our own cognitive biases.
Working against us, kind of.
Yeah, and these findings have been replicated.
In tons of studies, right?
Over the years, yeah, bystander effect is a real phenomenon.
So it's not just some fluke. It's like a pattern, a real pattern.
A real pattern of human behavior. And it's not limited to staged emergencies either.
Oh, I bet. Give me some examples, real-world examples.
Well, think about bullying.
Oh, yeah, kid getting picked on, everyone just watching.
Exactly. Those bystanders, they might be passive supporters.
Or just unsure how to act.
Or, sadly, even supporters of the bully, but their inaction, it contributes.
It's like they're giving approval.
Right, and this dynamic, it's not just limited to schoolyards.
No.
Workplaces, too.
Really? I wouldn't have thought of that.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine witnessing harassment, discrimination,
And no one speaks up,
afraid of rocking the boat.
jeopardizing their own position.
Exactly. So the bystander effect, it can perpetuate harm even in professional settings.
Scary to think about. Any data on that?
Yeah, one survey, senior financial execs,
Okay.
they found that a significant percentage had witnessed misconduct.
Yeah.
Only half took action.
Wow, that's pretty damning.
It is, makes you wonder how much goes unchecked because of this effect.
Right, so it's not just about helping in emergencies. It's bigger than that.
It's about challenging wrongdoing, even in everyday life.
Wow, and here's where it gets even crazier.
What's that?
Bystander effect. It's not limited to humans.
Now you're getting it.
Are you telling me there are bystander rats?
You heard right. Researchers have found evidence of this in rats.
Okay, now I have to hear about this. How do you even study that?
So they create a scenario. A rat can help a trapped companion.
A little rat jailbreak.
Pretty much, one rat trapped, another, the helper rat, is free to move around.
Yep.
But here's the key. They introduce other rats.
Oh, really?
Present, but unable to help. Little sedative.
Ah, so they can't intervene.
Exactly, creating a bystander audience.
Clever.
And the findings. Helper rats were less likely to free their friend when those bystanders were present.
No way, so even rats are influenced by this.
It seems so. Suggests this tendency might be more deeply ingrained than we realize.
So it's not just some, like, human social construct.
That's what the research indicates. And get this, the effect only occurred when the helper rat recognized the strain of the bystander rat.
Hold on, rat strains, like breeds.
Different genetic lines, yeah.
So they had to be able to relate to the other rat.
It seems so. Like familiarity, group dynamics play a role.
That's wild. Even in the rat world, social context matters.
It does. It really highlights the complexity of this whole phenomenon.
But before we go too deep down the rat hole, so to speak,
Yeah.
let's shift gears a bit.
Sure.
What can we do about this? The bystander effect
Good question. Because knowing about it,
is one thing,
overcoming it,
is a whole other challenge.
well, I think awareness is a good place to start. Just knowing this thing exists.
So just knowing about it can help us counteract it.
Yeah, awareness is key. Once you understand how this social pressure works,
Uh-huh.
you're more likely to recognize it in yourself.
And then challenge it.
Exactly, like a mental alarm bell.
Oh, I like that. When you're in that kind of situation,
Like tempted to just blend in.
Yeah, and you can stop. Ask yourself,
Okay.
am I holding back because I really think there's no problem?
Right.
Or am I just letting others sway my judgment?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's about being more conscious, I guess.
Of our own thought process, yeah.
So once we've raised that awareness,
Right.
what are some practical things we can do?
To actually, like, break free?
Yeah, overcome this bystander effect.
Well, the American Psychological Association, they offer some good advice.
Oh, okay.
They really emphasize personal responsibility.
So instead of assuming someone else will handle it,
Yeah.
we got to take ownership ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. Don't wait for a hero, be the hero.
Hey, easier said than done sometimes, right?
It can be, but it's a good principle.
Any other advice?
They also talk about being prepared.
Prepared? Like, for what?
Well, knowing basic first aid,
Oh, right, in case of emergency?
yeah, it can give you the confidence to step in.
If you know what to do, I
Yeah.
guess. Exactly, and it doesn't have to be, dramatic like first aid.
Yeah.
Even just knowing how to de-escalate a conflict.
Oh.
Towards someone being harassed, those
Right.
things can make a difference.
So it's about empowering ourselves, I guess,
With the knowledge, the skills, yeah.
to be active bystanders, not just passive ones.
Exactly, and remember, taking action.
It doesn't always mean, like, jumping in.
Right, sometimes it's calling for help,
Reporting an incident?
or even just offering support to the victim.
Right. Different ways to contribute, depending on the situation.
Exactly, and if you're the one needing help, remember, directly addressing someone
Oh, that's a good point.
is more likely to get a response.
Then just yelling to a crowd.
Yeah, like, make eye contact, point.
You, in the blue shirt, call 911.
Exactly, you're breaking through that diffusion of responsibility.
Making someone feel accountable.
Precisely, and even if you can't intervene directly,
Yeah.
you can still be active, gather evidence, record a video,
Or just be a witness.
who can corroborate later.
Right. Even small actions can help.
Absolutely, and while we've been talking about the practical stuff,
Yeah.
there's also a ton of research,
Too.
the deeper, like, neural and psychological mechanisms.
Oh, right. You mentioned some pretty high-tech methods.
Yeah, virtual reality is proving to be really useful.
VR. Like the headsets.
The very same. Researchers can create incredibly realistic simulations.
Oh, wow. So it's like putting people in the hot seat.
But in a safe, controlled environment,
Exactly. And because it's so immersive,
the data they're getting is much richer.
Than like traditional methods.
Exactly, closer to real life.
VR helping us understand the bystander effect.
And it's not just about understanding how people behave in the moment. They're using it to test interventions, too.
Like what works to promote helping?
Precisely. Virtual training ground for courage.
I love that.
And beyond VR, there's a growing interest in personality traits.
So are some people just more prone to this?
That's one of the questions, yeah. They're looking at empathy, altruism, even risk aversion.
I'd imagine someone high in empathy.
Would be more likely to help.
Right.
You'd think so, but it's not always that simple.
Ooh.
Research suggests empathy can motivate helping,
Yeah.
but it can also be overwhelming.
Really?
In certain situations, can lead to a freeze response.
Too much empathy can be paralyzing.
It can be, yeah, when you consider the emotional toll.
Of witnessing something terrible.
Exactly. And then there's a whole question of cultural norms.
Right. Different cultures, different expectations.
Some of that intervening, yeah.
So it's not just individual psychology, it's the whole context.
Social context, cultural values, it all shapes our behavior.
The bystander effect it's a complex thing.
Very complex interplay of individual, social, cultural factors.
It really is. You know what I find particularly interesting?
What's that?
How this plays out in the digital age.
Ah, yes, social media.
We're constantly bombarded with news online.
Tragic events, injustices, yeah.
And it's easy to feel overwhelmed.
Desensitized, powerless even.
It's like we're all bystanders,
To a global drama.
watching it unfold on our screens.
Like a perverse reality show almost.
Yeah, and that distance, it can breed apathy.
Yeah.
You know, out of sight, out of mind. But
Yeah.
social media is also a powerful tool, right? For awareness, for mobilizing people.
Absolutely. It's a double-edged sword.
So,
Well, on one hand, the sheer volume of information, the anonymity, it can make it easier to disengage.
we're all just faceless avatars.
Yeah, in a sea of digital faces.
And we can tell ourselves.
No, someone else will handle it.
It's just one post, one voice.
What difference does it make?
But then on the other hand,
Right.
social media, it can amplify those voices, connect people in ways we never could before.
Exactly. Think about all the movements.
The Arab Spring,
Yeah.
Me Too, Black Lives Matter.
All gain momentum online.
So it can cut both ways.
It really can amplify and counteract the bystander effect.
Yeah, it all comes down to how we use it.
Exactly. If we ourselves get swept away
By the information overload.
by apathy, yeah, then the effect might be magnified.
But if we choose to engage, to speak up,
Use our voices.
to amplify those in need,
Then social media can be a force for good.
that's a good point. It's empowering.
It is. We have more agency than we realize.
Even small actions.
Sharing a post, signing a petition, donating.
It can all make a difference.
It can, and it can inspire others too.
A ripple effect.
Exactly. So what does this all mean for us?
Yeah, in our everyday lives.
Both online and offline.
How do we take all this knowledge
About the bystander effect.
and turn it into action?
Well, I think it starts with recognizing that we're not just passive observers.
Yeah.
We're participants.
In the world around us.
We have a choice to be bystanders or to be upstanders.
To be upstanders
And even small acts of courage.
can make a big impact.
They can. It's like that saying.
What if everyone said that?
Exactly. If we each commit to breaking the cycle,
To speaking up,
taking action,
we can create a better world.
a more just, more compassionate world.
Our individual choices, they really do matter.
They do. Understanding the bystander effect.
It's crucial for anyone who wants to be a good citizen.
Online and off.
It's about recognizing that social influence
Being aware of what leads to inaction.
and then choosing to act.
Even when it's hard,
Because sometimes doing nothing, that's the worst thing.
it can be.
So the bystander effect is real,
Very real.
but it's not insurmountable.
We can overcome it.
And by doing so, we can become better people,
Create a better world.
where everyone feels empowered to help.
And no one is left to suffer alone.
That's a really powerful thought.
It is. One final thought to leave you with.
Okay, hit me.
What if, instead of asking, why didn't anyone help,
Yeah,
we started asking, what can I do?
that's a shift in perspective,
It is.
but a powerful one.
Moving from observation to participation.
Apathy to empathy?
Bystanders to upstanders.
That's a great note to end on.
It-
Thanks for diving deep with us.
My pleasure.